Happy birthday.
With those words, my husband smiled broadly.
Mom, here's a present.
My son handed me a bouquet with delight. On a sunny Saturday, at that moment when I heard their words, I was taken aback. For 5 years since our marriage, we had led ordinary yet happy days as a family. Even after my husband's work became busier, I managed childcare and household chores alone. Because I loved this family and wanted to protect the time we spent together as three, I wondered if this was the result.
Why is this happening?
With frustration, I made the decision to leave my husband. I am Emma, 32 years old. As a nail artist, I ran a shop from home. My husband Daniel, who was the same age, worked as a company employee and cherished me and our 4-year-old son Leo. On weekends, he took us to amusement parks or went on picnics with packed lunches. We were a seemingly blessed family, always smiling. But little did I dream that such happy days were gradually coming to an end.
Emma, I'll be working overtime today and tomorrow, so I'll be home late.
Is that so? You seem busier lately.
Yeah. We've got new clients, and training the new hires is keeping me busy. Plus, I have a business trip next week, so remember that.
One morning, I sighed as I watched Daniel leave in a hurry. For the past few months, his work had become significantly busier, and our face-to-face time had decreased. He had overnight business trips twice a week, and he often returned home late at night. Before opening my own nail salon, I had worked in a company too, so I understood the demands of unavoidable work and busy seasons. However, since our marriage, his workload had never been this intense, and my confusion was undeniable. And there's one more thing that bothers me. Come to think of it, I need to stop by the bank today. We need money again. I felt even more disheartened. According to Daniel, the company's policy had changed, and he no longer received reimbursement for business trips. On top of that, other out-of-pocket expenses had increased. With additional social gatherings, our spending has become quite intense lately. It's ironic that while we work to earn money, it seems to flow out in the opposite direction, leaving us dissatisfied.
There's nothing we can do, right? It's part of the job, and you need to understand. After all, we're a couple supporting each other.
However, when I gently raised the issue, Daniel's reaction seemed more exasperated than understanding. Despite this internal turmoil, I tried to convince myself to manage our finances diligently. After all, although expenses had risen, they hadn't become overwhelming, and Daniel always made sure to be home on weekends, playing with our son Leo. I think we're spending too much money and time on work. But Daniel must be considering us. Although there were lingering doubts, I chose to silently observe Daniel. Then, some time passed, and something happened.
Since you're handling everything during the week, let me take care of Leo on weekends.
At a certain point, he started taking Leo out somewhere every weekend. Initially, I thought he was creating free time for me, as he had promised. Indeed, with Daniel taking Leo out, I could refresh myself alone. However, gradually, I began to feel uneasy about his actions. Hey, how about the three of us going somewhere next Saturday? Thanks to your help, I've had enough alone time.
Huh? No, that won't work. If work gets even busier than now, I won't be able to make time like this.
But being alone at home on weekends still feels lonely.
That's a luxury problem. Anyway, rest without worrying about Leo.
For some reason, Daniel stubbornly avoided including me in their outings. Rather than concern, it felt like he was excluding me. Furthermore, despite his efforts to reduce my burden, he only took Leo out for fun, never helping with daily chores. When I gently advised him,
You want me to do more? That's being selfish.
I ended up receiving a reprimand instead. While I had supported Daniel all along, I couldn't help but feel bothered by this situation. Could he be hiding something? Not long after that, on a Saturday, something happened. On this day, Daniel and Leo had gone out somewhere together, leaving me at home, absent-mindedly watching TV. Suddenly, my phone rang, catching me off guard.
Hello. Emma, do you have any plans today?
The moment I heard that voice, my previously downcast heart brightened. The caller was Ms. Smith, a 42-year-old woman. She had been my most loyal customer since my apprentice days as a nail artist. Despite our long association, she still appreciated my skills and continued to visit my salon. Our relationship went beyond that of a client and employee. We had become quite close.
It's sudden, but I have an important commitment tomorrow. If it's okay, I'd like to request a nail appointment.
Of course. Would it be all right if I come to your home as usual?
That would be great. Thank you as always.
After ending the call, I quickly gathered my work tools and headed to her house by car. Although I primarily operated my salon from home, I occasionally provided on-site services for clients. I'm looking forward to meeting Ms. Smith. With excitement, I set off for work. However, as I stepped out of the car toward the entrance of her apartment building, an unexpected event unfolded.
What is that?
At that moment, I looked up toward the nearby park, drawn by cheerful voices, and witnessed an unbelievable scene.
Happy birthday!
Mom, here's a present.
There they were, Daniel and Leo, merrily laughing alongside a woman I didn't recognize, who was being called Mom. The woman, having received flowers from Leo, smiled naturally and affectionately patted his head. What shocked me even more was that Daniel didn't intervene. Instead, he proudly watched their interaction.
This can't be true. Why would this happen?
As darkness closed in before my eyes, a part of me remained oddly calm, recalling everything that had led up to this moment.
It must be infidelity.
The sudden increase in business trips and overtime, the financial strain, Daniel excluding me from outings with Leo, and now this woman being addressed as Mom. Each piece of information was more than enough to convince me that Daniel had betrayed me. Before they noticed, I secretly captured their image in a photo and headed to Ms. Smith's apartment, my mind in turmoil. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I could perform my job effectively in this state, but I couldn't neglect such an important client. Yet, it seemed Ms. Smith knew me better than I thought.
Oh. You seem a bit down. Has something happened?
Although I tried to maintain composure, the moment we began the nail session, she looked at me with a concerned expression and asked. Unable to hold back, tears welled up in my eyes. Immediately after witnessing the scene, I was in turmoil, but being betrayed by Daniel, whom I loved, was still a significant shock.
Tell me what's going on. Maybe I can help.
With a calm voice, Ms. Smith encouraged me, and I poured out everything, forgetting about work. As she listened, her eyes widened in surprise. And from that point on, events took an unexpected turn. A few days later, on a weekday evening, invited to Ms. Smith's apartment, I stood silently with her near the entrance. However, this time, I wasn't there for a nail appointment. Since that day, I had been working with her to devise a way to punish Daniel. When I explained the infidelity to Ms. Smith, I discovered even more shocking facts than I had anticipated.
It seems they're back.
The moment we heard loud voices from behind the door, Ms. Smith and I rushed out of the entrance.
What? Emma! Why are you here?
There stood Daniel, looking astonished, and the woman who had been called Mom that day. Both froze, their hands on the door handle, gaping open-mouthed.
That's my line. Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip today?
No! She's someone from work. But what about Leo? And who is she?
Leo is with my parents. Ms. Smith helped me. She's here to expose your affair.
My angry voice made Daniel narrow his eyes. After confessing about witnessing the decisive scene that day, Ms. Smith hesitated for a moment and then asked about the woman's appearance. Remembering the photos I had taken, I promptly showed them to her, and she gasped.
Unbelievable! That woman lives next door to me. Her name is Madison.
What a twist of fate. Daniel had chosen to have an affair with none other than my loyal customer's neighbor. Following Ms. Smith's suggestion, I contacted Daniel's workplace. To verify whether the business trips were real, I learned that not only were there no trips, but he hadn't even worked overtime. Furthermore, if there had been any trips, the company reimbursed transportation expenses. This revelation confirmed that Daniel had completely betrayed me.
Today, I know there's no business trip. So, with Ms. Smith's help, I waited for your return. I wanted to catch you coming home with your affair partner.
As I glared at the two of them in anger, Madison, Daniel's affair partner, returned my gaze defiantly. According to Ms. Smith, Madison appears to be in her late 20s, but she seems completely unrepentant or unaware of her actions. Daniel is no different.
Well, it's true there might not have been a business trip. She really is a coworker, and today, she was supposed to come to her house for a work meeting.
Daniel grinned as if blaming me, as if I were the one at fault. But my patience had finally run out. Despite his busy work schedule, I had endured and believed he cared for us. But now, seeing Daniel abandon his devoted wife for another woman, I had no sympathy left.
Huh? You two were making a ruckus while drunk and working?
They were so noisy. It was unbearable. I even recorded it to complain to the building manager.
Finally, Daniel and Madison looked shocked by our words. Apparently, every time they cheated, they made a commotion in their room, causing Ms. Smith sleepless nights. When I played the recorded audio, embarrassingly, Daniel's voice was clear.
And I secretly checked your phone. They seem to have quite a lovey-dovey exchange. There's no escaping now.
When did you see my phone? Isn't that an invasion of privacy?
At that moment, realizing he was cornered with decisive evidence, he raised his voice in anger. Then, for some reason, Daniel stepped forward with a defiant smile.
What? Do you want a divorce?
Well, I can't be with you anymore.
Fine, we can get divorced. But do you understand? Leo belongs to me.
His argument was unfathomable, and I furrowed my brow. Misunderstanding my hesitation, Daniel confidently began confessing everything.
Leo already likes Madison. He'll choose me over you.
As I listened, it turned out that Madison's transfer to Daniel's department had sparked their affair. While Daniel increasingly wanted to marry her, he didn't want to let go of Leo. So, he spoiled Leo and introduced him to Madison on weekends, hoping that when they divorced, Leo would choose him. Hearing this, my anger grew even more. It was clear how little Daniel valued Leo's feelings.
You know, Leo isn't that naive.
Huh? What are you saying?
He found your outings quite painful.
My words left Daniel looking bewildered. After learning about the affair, I subtly asked Leo about Daniel's behavior when they went out together. Leo tearfully revealed,
Dad tells me to call that lady Mom. But I don't want to go with them because Dad says bad things about you.
Despite not fully understanding the situation, it seems Leo sensed the unsettling atmosphere creeping into our family.
And you tried to keep this a secret, right? Do you realize how much pain Leo went through?
I didn't think. Leo was supposed to choose me over you.
That's impossible. You hurt Leo to satisfy your desires. You're unfit as a father.
In my rage, Daniel finally collapsed to the floor, realizing the gravity of it all. Then, in desperation,
Please. I'll apologize for the affair, but just let me have custody. Look at me.
he clung to me, but his apologies and shattered pride fell on deaf ears. If it had come to this, he should never have cheated in the first place.
Dragging Leo into this, there's no way I'll grant custody to someone like that. Prepare yourself for alimony.
With a final word, I confronted them with reality. Daniel and Madison stood frozen, their faces drained of color. Afterward, Daniel and I divorced. Naturally, I gained custody, and I demanded $30,000 each in alimony from him and his affair partner. I also planned to seek child support until Leo grew up. Apparently, rumors about this incident spread at their workplace, making it uncomfortable for both of them. In the end, they broke up, leaving Madison burdened with debt. As for me, I returned to my parents' home with Leo and continued my work as a nail artist. Ms. Smith, of course, remains a cherished client. I'll watch over Leo's growth alongside my kind parents and strive for happiness.
How did you like this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.